I'd like to welcome everyone to Steve Tees Off, brought to you by riversidegolf.ca. Ken Poirier and the fine folks down at his shop at South Surrey. I encourage everyone to check out Ken. But today we are extremely fortunate to have Tim Wilson, who is going to be I would like to say a mainstay after every major championship, or that is, and we only have 4 that we really call majors. And they are obviously we've gone through the Masters, which Rory won. We just finished up the PGA of America. I think it was the 108th.
Yeah.
And then we have the U.S. Open, and then we've got the Open, the British Open.
Yeah.
So
it comes fast, right? Like they put them all together now. It's April, May, June, and all of a sudden we're right there. Yeah.
And as a segue into this discussion, the reason, Tim, that I, not to blow sunshine up your ass, but I'm going to tell you a little story about what other PGA of British Columbia individuals or members have told me about you is that Tim is a guy who not only looks at golf as a means to earn a living, but he truly loves the game and breathes it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not suggesting that other professionals just look at it as a way to earn a living.
Yeah.
But you not just earn a living doing it, but you truly love it.
Yeah, it's all part of my life, right?
Yeah,
Every
it's your
aspect.
life.
It tickled my heart when I was young, and it grabbed me right away, and it became one of those things that it's not difficult for me to stay up on golf. I've always been up on it for sure.
And one of the things that and the other thing that I want to make sure that we get into, because one of my pet peeves about podcasting is when you have a guest on and you have a conversation with, a lot of times nobody knows who the hell they're talking, who you're talking to.
Right.
Okay. And Tim, we're just going to do a brief background about you, and where you teach, and a little bit about your background, and then we're going to get into the PGA discussion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I've been a almost 25-year golf pro. Turned professional 2002. I hang my hat now at Shaughnessy Golf and Country Club, which is, if anyone's had a chance to come through the gates, pretty special place.
Yes.
I teach golf for a living. That is what I do. I would consider myself more of a coach than I do an instructor. Although instructing is a big part of my game, coaching is really where I feel like I can offer a lot of advice and help a lot of players get to where they want to be. Knowing full well that this is mostly played between your ears, and watching so many of the best players in the world with so many unique talents and so many different skills come up with ways at being successful on a golf course, we can really sit back and go, there isn't one way to do it. There's your way to do it, and we can kind of get you hopefully freed up so that you can go play some good golf. So that's really what I pride myself on, is trying to get people to just play better golf. It's way more fun.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
What I wanted to start, I'd like to start with is setting the scene at Aronimink and the course setup, the conditions, and how it played.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah. The PGA is always an interesting one. The Masters is the Masters, right? We know everything about that. The U.S. Open is the hard test. They always set up the U.S. Open golf courses as the test, and we watch guys just the carnage out there. The British is the British. It's this unique, windy, cold experience overseas that we all fascinate about. So the PGA is kind of left for its own identity, and I think it's really defined by the golf courses they choose and how they set them up early in the week. This tournament felt like a little bit of like a U.S. It's Aronimink, so it's a East Coast old school golf course. It feels like a U.S. Open almost right off the bat.
Yeah.
The way that they had it set up early, and I think the weather conditions are always going to be a part of that. When it started to get windy and a little cooler, the golf course plays tougher, and then now you've got a log jam on this golf course because it's very, very difficult. It's hard to make pars. It's also hard to make doubles out there, which you kind of watched. It was not a golf course where someone's going to make a 12 on a hole, but they're going to find a struggle, and with only 2 par 5s and really tough par 3s and long par 4s, it ended up as like the first 2 days, all these players together. I think they said something like 60 players within like 5 shots of the lead coming into the weekend, which is, not when you look at the Masters, when you look at the US Open, when you look at some of these others, it's more like a marathon. You watch a guy ascend through the week, pull away for a few different players kind of pull away. This was literally like, okay, everybody on Sunday, it's like a sprint. Let's go, right?
And Aaron Rai, he actually, when you look at his scorecard Thursday, Friday, Saturday, he got better every day.
Yeah, he did. I think I had his rounds here, right? So he was like 70, 69, 67, 65. That's a nice way to go and win a major.
Yeah.
Right? Like get better.
Yeah.
Figure out the golf course.
And, watching him, and I know there must have been a lot of pent up emotion inside of him.
Yeah.
But he really contained himself well, even when he sunk that 70-foot putt.
Yeah.
It wasn't a, that Tiger-esque.
No.
It was like.
Yeah. It surprised him too a little
yeah,
bit too.
Yeah.
And you can see the emotion come out.
Yeah.
He looks like, and from what we are all hearing about him now is obviously when you get to a stage like this, people start talking about you a bit more. So from his young roots and kind of who he was and how he kind of cut his teeth in the game, he's a introvert. He's a very individual player. He's a hard worker. I think he's process driven more than anything else. He's not a guy who's, flying by the seat of his pants, so to speak. He really is like, I think he figured out a way to play this golf course. He stuck to his game, which isn't the big flashy Rory explosions off the tee. It's more like, I'm going to chip away at this thing and give myself a chance. And he did a great job of getting to the back nine and capitalizing on the opportunities that came his way. And you're right, he just looked really stoic in the moments out there. Like, he looked really well organized, for sure.
And there was, and I can't remember what hole it was on Sunday, where the commentators were they were criticizing his club selection off the tee.
Right.
And he was looking at, all he wanted was 250.
Yeah.
And he chose a club that was 250 when others, might have bombed.
Yeah.
And he was like, and I remember that moment because, and then he hit the fairway.
Yeah.
And his playing partner bombed one, but then was like 3 feet or 3 yards into the rough, which makes a whole ton of difference. Massive. Even though he was, 15 yards behind that guy, I'm on the fairway.
Yeah.
I got a clean lie.
I would imagine that, he's well accomplished, right? He's won 3 times on the DP World Tour. He won the Wyndham last year, which is that was a Donald Ross course. That was Sedgefield. So he's won on like a difficult golf courses, but I'm sure at this point in his career, he's well aware that he's not the longest hitter.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he gets caught up in that guy's just bombed one, so I'm going to bomb one, or playing off adrenaline. It takes a lot of discipline to look the other way and go, this is the way that I'm playing.
That's
this.
right.
And to be honest, it's what I try to tell my players as much as we can. If you can go and prepare for a golf course, if you're playing a tournament, you want to get that down first so that you're not caught up in the moments where, someone pulls driver and hits it on a green or something. And then that's not in your game plan. You weren't thinking about it and you're not committed to it. He had I think a strategy for every hole, every tee shot that he played, where he wanted to put it on the greens and give himself chances. And, on a Sunday, if those things go your way, you end up a major winner. It's pretty cool. It's very, very cool.
It is pretty cool. Now, the chase pack. I one of the things that stood out, and I don't know if it was just media making up things, but I don't know if Justin Thomas said this because he posted a low number.
Yeah,
and
he's 65. Yeah,
and he was sitting in the clubhouse waiting. Now I don't know if he said shit, like if he said, or they made it up.
Yeah.
But they made it sound like he was being critical of the fact that he had to wait to see, and you may do you have a comment on that? Because when you post a low number, okay, there's some waiting time.
Yeah.
Right.
Things can change. I think he made a comment about a tournament that he had went out, on a Sunday and shot a 61 or 2 in the final round early and had to wait around. And was in the clubhouse and had a couple of beers, and his caddy hit the road and he's like, okay, I'll see you at the next event. And all of a sudden the wind kicks up and it gets a little more difficult and guys start making bogeys. And he's like, well, wait a minute, am I going to go in a playoff? Like, I'm half cut here. I don't know if I can do this. So it's the nature of the thing is, Obviously, going out early is a big advantage on any of those days when the golf course is. I mean, if you played early morning golf versus late afternoon golf, the golf course is perfect. It's usually a little bit calmer. You're going out there with a different mindset. You're just going to make a ton of birdies and try to like get as close to the lead as you can. He did a great job of it and kind of had to sit around and wait a little bit. It was by mid back nine, you could kind of see that 5 might not do it. There was 2 or 3 guys that were starting to pull away a little bit. Rom looked really strong. Looked like I thought he was
like you and I were texting back and forth, and
right.
I was going,
yeah.
like like
you assume, and I think it's always one of those things you assume when you look at the leaderboard going into the final round. There's 2 or 3 players. I think I latched on to Ludwig. I thought Ludwig was going to kind of get it done. But you would imagine some of these bigger name players, especially a guy like Rom who's won majors before.
Yes.
That when the moment gets big, he's going to be able to sort of hang on the fact that he's done this before, and I think it's a huge advantage. But obviously, Aaron drew off of something totally different.
He did, and talking about those greens, and I don't know if it's just my imagination, but there were so many and I'm not going to call them misreads. It was just like holy. Like Jesus, like you because you don't see that from those guys.
Yeah, so I'll relate this to Shaughnessy a little bit. Okay. So Shaughnessy's been around for a long time. The greens are settled. They're old. A lot of foot traffic to find some of these like spots that you can't really see. The topography is tough to pick up on, and I think it's intentional that you've got these subtle. When a break is obvious, when you know it's going to break right to left, I think everyone kind of gets it sort of right. But a lot of these putts and where they had put pin locations, there was all these little subtle movements in there. So you get it on the wrong line right away and you look like a goof because you miss it on a high side. But you had to pick the right. They were very pure. You always like looking at the way the golf course was set up and the conditions. It looked fantastic.
It did.
It looked great. And the greens putted so true and pure. So you would only imagine that it just has something to do with how difficult they were to sort of read. This is an old golf course. Right?
Yeah,
like
very
old golf course.
Like 1912, I think, was the last time they played.
Yeah, very old golf course.
And I'm going by memory. The last time an Englishman won was
like over 100 years ago. Yeah.
Yes,
at a PGA Championship. Yeah.
Is that like? It doesn't mean that the English have horrible, like shitty golfers. It's just what like.
I think the PGA is more of that golf course that's set up like an American like an American championship, right? So it's not a link style. It's definitely more a parkland kind of a target green sort of vibe.
Not a lot of tree trouble.
Not a lot of trees, and that's everyone had trees.
Yeah.
Everyone had no trees in the very beginning when they built their golf courses, and the trees grew, and then everyone was like, we got to restore it to the original where there was no trees. But they always had intention of those trees growing up. But these golf courses do so much better when you can open up airflow and sunlight.
And the thing, what I drew from that too was they're all, and I'll get into the discussion about them throttling back the golf ball.
Yeah.
For tour players, which I think is insane. I don't. Yeah. I think it's. I'm on. I'm not a pro, but I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
It's really, really stupid.
It's too bad that it's gotten to the point they had to kind of roll it. They're talking about rolling
because
it back.
That showed that was shot making. Like you had to hit the fairway. Like there were so many times where the commentators go, "Oh well, he plastered that," and then it would roll, roll,
right.
And then you're like 3 feet into the rough, and now you're going, and the guy's already picked up his tee, and he's walking and he's strutting, going, oh shit.
Yeah, you can defend a golf course.
Yeah,
well, you can defend it with growing the rough and making the greens fast and firm, and any golf course then becomes, well, wait a minute, how do I get to those greens? Like Aaron Rai for the week was 67 or 8% driving it off the tee, hitting fairways, and around 75% of greens and reg. He was like second in strokes gained for the week and fifth in putting. So this is a guy who's just like, I'm going to hit fairways. I'm going to hit greens. Right. And then I don't have to putt fantastic, but if I have opportunities, I'm probably going to putt pretty well. Yeah. Whereas the guys that were trying to get up and down and scramble and whatever, then it all gets away from you so quickly. And like I said, it wasn't a golf course that someone was going to make doubles on every hole, but you're going to make soft bogeys almost all day long, and it's hard to get the birdies.
Yeah.
Really hard to make birdies.
And what happened to Alex Smalley?
Well, I mean, nice comeback to finish second, right?
It was.
Like, so this is a player who's never won on tour before, playing in the final round of a major with another guy who's never won a major. Matty Schmidt is won before.
Yeah.
But obviously very accomplished players, but a really difficult situation. And I don't think that he played poorly. If you said go out and shoot 70 in the final round of a major with a couple shot lead, that's probably not too bad. But Aaron Rai shot 65.
Yeah.
And that's the guy that beat you, and you finished second. I mean, he birdied his last hole, I think, to get to that spot. Finished strong.
He finished strong.
Which is really nice. But I think just a really, really difficult position to be in for a guy who hasn't done it before. I mean, great ammo for the future. You could almost like look back to Weir early in his career when played in final rounds with Tiger or whoever and just couldn't hang. But then you learn from those experiences and you realize it wasn't much more that I needed to be able to sort of like be there. So I think you have to show up on that stage a couple of times before you get comfortable closing.
And I titled this Star Watch.
Yeah.
You know, Rory.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not suggesting Rory should just keep his mouth shut, but he was the one that made the comment.
Yeah.
I can bomb it.
I'm just going to bomb it.
Yeah, exactly.
Flip wedges on the green and just demolish this place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how did that work for you?
Isn't it why we kind of love Rory too?
Exactly.
You know, he's not going to sit there like Koepka or Scheffler and just sort of dance around the media. He's going to say how it feels. He's going to show frustration. Cool. And you know, I like his approach because he did it at Augusta, which is a totally different place. But he's done it for most of his career. He's never been the most accurate driver. When you chase that sort of draw pattern, less spin, you're going to hit some absolute rockets.
Do you know, like, and I'm just asking you if you could pull it off the top of your head.
Yeah.
How many fairways did he hit?
Yeah, on the last day, I think he only hit a couple. I think he only hit 3 or 4 fairways, especially coming down the stretch. And, you know, a couple that he hit and would roll in, but some that were just way off.
Yeah.
And I think late in the round, it obviously showed itself that he was starting to get, like, I don't know if I can hit a fairway. He was double cross on the 3-wood and like just didn't make great swings. Yeah. That's when the fairway starts to look like really, really small.
Yeah.
Like
and the thing is, in his defense too, when you saw that aerial view when they put the drone up there, that's a pretty small landing area there. Like it might be a big landing area, and then it funnels into a small as it rolls.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of you know, each side.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's it, is because of the camber of the fairways, if you're landing it in the wrong spot, you could hit it right down the middle of the fairway and miss the fairway. You could shape it to hold it into the fairways, or you have to land it in the right spot to have enough run out. You know, Rory's strategy is not new. Vijay, who became the best player in the world and won at Sahali, if you ever played Sahali before, you'd never think to just bomb driver everywhere. But that's what he did. He just hit it as far as he could and slashed it out of the rough and put it together really, really nicely. So, I mean, Koepka won the U.S. Open, I think, at Aronimink. At Shinnecock in 18. Yeah. Kind of doing the same thing. So, like, there's always been that strategy, and there's always that weighing the option if you have the horsepower to do it. But it shows itself every once in a while when you get a player who's more tactical and organized and plays a different game. It's kind of cool to see that you can still get that same result.
Have you ever played Aronimink?
No,
I can't even say it now.
Yeah, Aronimink.
No,
I've had the chance to play a few golf courses on the East Coast, a couple of really nice private clubs back there, but I haven't done the tour of the Philly area. And the more they showed it, kind of at the beginning of the week, you realize like, oh yeah, the cricket clubs out there, Marion. I mean, they're amazing golf courses. So if anybody's watching and want to take me on a trip, I'll go.
I'm open.
I'll go with you guys.
So the other thing that I always look at after a major, who missed the cut.
Yeah.
And
some guys that were playing well too.
They were.
Yeah.
And now the first one that comes to mind is DeChambeau.
Yeah.
I I'll express my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's got a lot of things on his mind,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I think that playing live has dulled his competitive. And I just that's just my own opinion.
I think even more, he's really gotten into YouTube golf.
Yes.
And he's really embraced that. And he's done a great job to kind of elevate himself to where he's at. His prep now for a lot of these tournaments. I watch Bryson. I love YouTube golf, and I love Jason Day, and I love the Brian Bros and everyone that's out there. I love the angles that they're all taking from like former tour players and showing us a different angle. Bryson is just really involved in that, and his prep for these majors and the way that he sort of goes about it maybe isn't quite right, but also he's won tournaments and he's won majors before. He's a very, very good player. I think his game's a little shaky right now, and where it matters, the short game is just not good enough.
Yeah, and the other thing too is he's a bomber.
For sure he is.
And
he's not going to do it any different.
Yeah, he's not going to stop bombing.
No.
And that golf course doesn't play like.
Yeah.
Accuracy is at a premium.
Yeah.
And he's always been able to get away with bombing, and then get away with muscling a 7 or an 8 iron through the rough or whatever. But he did beat Rory last year in the U.S. Open, and he did. He made one hell of a shot to so.
And that's what everyone remembers, and they know he can hit it really, really far. Maybe this just wasn't a great setup for him. He didn't play particularly well at the Masters, and that was probably left on his palate a little bit, double in the last to miss the cut or whatever, triple in the last or whatever he made. So I think he's probably really looking forward to the U.S. Open to kind of get everyone off his tail a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the live guys, outside of Rahm, Cam Smith had a really nice tournament.
Yes,
These guys are still world-class players, and I think the more that they show up in these events, the more that they can kind of demonstrate that. The more time they had spent on live competing there, it definitely looks like they're missing that, every week competition against the best players in the world. Like if you'd played the week before, you'd played against the same field.
Yeah.
Coming into this, you're not surprised to be in a position, or not surprised with being able to kind of beat these guys.
Another player that I wasn't shocked, but I was surprised. Tommy Fleetwood was playing well.
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah,
he was playing really well.
Yeah,
and my expectation was like he's not a bomber, and I consider him to be like an esoteric player. Like he's he's not afraid to he's not afraid to use a 9-wood.
Right.
He's not afraid to like whatever I need. And I thought that this is a thinking man's layout.
Yeah.
And I was surprised, but you know what? Like they weren't going in.
And I don't know what side of the draw he was on. There was definitely a better side of the draw for the week with the weather. As the wind came up in the afternoon both days, I think you would have loved to be out there early on the Thursday and then go a little later on the Friday and kind of almost miss the bulk of their weird weather that kind of came through. That happens. You watch really good players. I'll remind a lot of my players that I work with on a given week. If you want to feel good about yourself, don't go to the top of the leaderboard, go to the bottom on a Friday and have a look and see like, whoa, that guy's really good at golf. He played terrible this week. That happens.
Yeah.
Even Aaron Rai would admitted he has not had a good season. He's not played the way that he's wanted. He's battled some injuries. He didn't get into this signature event last week. He's playing in Myrtle Beach instead. That's a whole other thing. But he found some comfort, and you just hope that you catch it for the right week, and so it goes.
In your opinion, do you think that the PGA has the best field of the majors?
They announced that, and I always
do you believe that?
I always think to myself, isn't there like 30 club pros in the field? Like, and not taking away from Ben Kern and Michael Block and all those like great and they're great club players, but this is not the best field in the game. It's the best field in a major, I think. just based on how you kind of get there. The U.S. Open is an open door. British Open's an open door. Lots of qualifiers.
Yeah.
Masters has all their past champions and guys from previous. The best field is the players by a long, like it's the top players that make it into it. And the more I watch the players, the more I'm like, that's a major.
Yeah.
Like the guys get up for it. It has that same sort of draw. It's like a mini Augusta. Like Aaron Rai said, it's his favorite golf course in the world, TPC Sawgrass. So the PGA it has the best players, and then it has the 30-ish club pros that are also playing in it too.
And what I was doing with that, because when they made that comment, I went down the rabbit hole trying to figure out how you qualify for it.
Yeah. There's a million different ways, and
Like, you know, it's like trying to figure out boxing weights.
Yeah,
Like, you know, what's a welterweight? What's this?
Yeah.
What does this title mean? Like it is.
Yeah.
Like
it's a very, very strong field, probably the strongest of the majors. But the best field in golf that everyone can play in that isn't the playoffs is that the Players Championship definitely has the top field, I think, just based on ranking.
Now the prize money was $20.5 million.
Yeah, it was okay.
That's all
It's
right.
okay. So I mean, some goes to tax, but
Yeah,
who cares?
3.69 million.
Yeah.
To Ray.
Yeah.
To Rai.
Yeah.
And
1.8 million for second for Smalley. So like,
that's nothing.
Nice.
That's a
right?
nice
For a guy who's
little-
never won before, that's his
Exactly.
biggest check. It's got to be.
That's a nice little howdy doody.
Yeah.
You know, makes
sure.
makes it, you know,
Yeah.
you know, and the people that watch the game, like, you know, hacks like me, you always say, oh, the winner. And then, but you go down to like 20, 25.
Yeah.
There's some good coin in there,
No doubt.
you know?
Do you remember that Kisner line from back in the day?
Yeah.
When they're like, so why are you showing up here if you don't think you can win? He goes, man, there's some good money for like 20.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
It's true.
That's right.
Keep making money.
So, and teaching takeaways.
Yes.
From that golf course, anything that you would pass on?
Yeah. You know what? Let's go to Aaron Rai for a second and talk about how he kind of gets it around. Because I saw a really cool clip just after he had won, where he was a 13-year-old just outside of London, I guess, where he grew up. And he's on a golf course interviewed by the BBC, and he makes a swing and he finishes, and it's the exact same finish he has now, like the exact same golf swing, just a grown-up version with the same two gloves. And he really is an adopter of this is his golf swing, and he's not changing it to chase speed or distance. He's not one of the longest guys on tour. He's very consistent at around a 113 or 14 mile an hour swing speed and around a high 60s, 170-ish ball speed, plays a little bit of a fade, takes it shut in the backswing, opens it coming through, and holds everything off so it never goes left on him. Really sort of like plays to know where his golf ball is going to miss, isn't chasing where, you know, half of the guys on that leaderboard, and especially the bombers, are all hitting these big high draws. You know, Ludwig's a drawer, Rahm's a fader, but Rory's a big high drawer of the golf ball. So, I mean, there's ways for him to gain distance, and he's never really gone down that track. He's really owned his game. He's worked with the guys from me and my game, the two coaches there for like pretty much his whole career as a golfer, and he's really just stuck to it. He's stuck to the way that he does it, and it's cool to see it kind of come out that way.
Well, I've always, you know, over the last 3 or 4 years watching him, he strikes me as a deliberate player.
Yeah.
He's very deliberate in everything that he does.
Yeah.
You have to be to wear toe gloves. Like
Two gloves. They made it so obvious. Right? Two gloves, iron covers.
Exactly. Like
Like,
he's just like,
he was never the coolest kid. He didn't have a big friend group. When he was younger, it was him and his dad playing a lot of golf and playing a lot of tournaments, which golf can be that game where you can really just fall into it. You can really be a successful introvert in this game if you love being by yourself and working on your game and honing your craft. All the players have said in the wake of this that Aaron is like one of the hardest workers. He's meticulous in his practice rounds. He'll be out there for 9 holes for about 3.5 hours, letting guys go through, just sort of like charting the greens and due diligence to kind of get the plan right. So this is something that he learned at a very young age, and he hasn't really left it. He's really stayed true to who he is, and and I mean that is the ultimate in this game. That's the payoff.
So, when we look at the moving into the U.S. Open, there's always this, because you can't, you can't. Nobody has a crystal ball
Right.
that you can look into and say, okay,
Probably Scotty. How about that?
that's right.
Probably
That's an
Scotty.
easy bet.
Probably Scotty.
Yeah,
It's probably Scotty or Rory. I think
yeah.
if you want to lay it down early,
yeah.
these guys are they're going to be there. They're going to be part of the story always. For right now,
Yeah.
their games are so good.
But the key moments with Aaron Rai was he started the day trailing by 3 shots.
Yeah.
Okay. And and it was a congested field.
Yeah.
And he separated himself from the pack basically in a set, like I think it was the last 8, 9, 10 holes.
Yeah.
Where he just locked in.
Yep.
And didn't play stupid.
Right.
And
Made the birdies.
Yeah.
To get the lead. He started the day, birdied the first hole, and that's always one of those things that you hope that you can get it that easy that early. I know a lot of club players would be like, man, if I birdie the first, I'm going to shoot $1 billion because I'm going to think it's just going to take me in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But for those guys, they're hoping to birdie every hole. So when he kind of birdied the first, had a really nice front 9, and then got to the back 9, and it just looked like he made the putts that really mattered, like really made the putts that mattered. And not just the bomb that we saw that from all those different angles, which is really cool because that's going to be part of his game forever.
Yeah.
On 17, but all the little cleanups, all the pars that he kind of made, 5 to 7 foot putts that poured in really, really nicely. You could tell that he had a real confidence in his stroke and the way that he's rolling the ball and his speed control. It was lovely to see a guy like that. Just he was very settled for a guy who obviously hadn't been there before.
Now, I pulled this stat that he made a career high 182 feet at putts on Sunday alone.
Yeah. 68 feet of it on 17. But yeah, he made his putts.
That's an astounding number.
Isn't that fun?
Because that's not like a stat that
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But 182.
Again, like club player, write down how many feet of putts you made on your Sunday round.
Yeah.
It's probably like 19 feet.
That's right.
Right? Like that's a crazy number.
That is a crazy number. Like 182
big square footage
feet.
On those greens.
That's right. That's right.
That's
and
a lot.
And that played into
oh, for sure.
He was dialed in.
Yeah, for sure.
He was dialed in.
And it took that golf course, especially on Sunday. It took you doing everything well. You had to keep it in the fairway. You had to hit the greens. You had to make your putts. Try not to give away strokes. And he just kind of kept progressing. And the PGA changed the setup of that golf course to change the outcome of that event. Because after 2 rounds, it looked like it was going to be even par was going to win that thing. It looked like a U.S. Open.
Yes.
And then they were like, well, wait a minute. Tees got moved up. Everything got a little softer, it looked like. And all of a sudden, bang, there's like 66s and 65s on the board. Kirk Kitayama shot 63, I think, in the final round, and missed I watched the early coverage, and Kirk missed a bunch of putts early. I mean, he could have shot whatever. Yeah. But you could definitely tell that they were like, okay, wait a minute, let's give these guys a chance to make some birdies. But at that point, you'd already now it's a horse race. Now everyone's in the same blocks, and they're like, okay, go, let's see if we can win this thing. Whereas, if you've got at most other tournaments, a group of guys will separate, and then that becomes the narrative for the weekend more so.
And I don't know if it because my memory isn't quite like it used to be, but of all the major championships, this one seemed to be, I don't want to use the term riveting, but it was a clump of guys. Yeah. And it was anybody's to have.
That was it.
And the thing is that the lightning was not, I'm going to go so low that I'm going to decimate the field and beat them by 10 strokes.
Right.
It was It was more of a like, if I can stick to my game plan.
Yeah.
And I always wonder when I watch this, and I saw that at times you could pick up the conversation between him and his caddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we tend to forget how important that is.
Oh man, massive. Yeah. Like the caddy relationship is such a settling experience. Imagine if you had someone or anything, if you're looking over an 8-foot putt at your club and you stand over it and someone tells you that the line that you have is perfect right before you putt. Don't you think you're going to make a really confident stroke?
Yeah.
To have that second opinion, or to have an opinion and go, what do you think about this? And they go, I don't know, what about this? And then you guys both come up with the same idea. That's such a calming experience to have that confirmation that whatever you're about to do is the right decision. Even if it's not, you are going to make way more confident swings and decisions. It's also just a really nice sounding board to get those ideas out of your head. So yeah, it's great when you can hear the sound bites. When you can hear the caddy,
that's what I was listening to, and it was very
right. You know that they've worked together for a long time. You know what to say to this player at the right time. I've had some great caddies in the past. I've had some
shitty
volunteer caddies in the past. Not to take away from them, we had a great day. But it is a totally different when someone knows you and knows what to say to you in the right moments to kind of get you calmed down. And I think that's always something that they really, really, it's not overlooked, but the caddies do kind of on purpose take a back seat. They don't they don't love the spotlight, the caddies. I don't think they, none of them do. Yeah. They're just like, oh, well, obviously he played really good today.
Yeah. He did.
Yeah.
And that golf course, the length and the setup of it, and because I'm such a nerd, I watched prior.
Yeah.
And they had a drone flying over, and they were showing the undulations of the greens and all that because I'm just a nerd.
Yeah.
I sit
Me too.
there,
I do all the same things.
I'm sitting there
more
watching
golf.
54
My wife's like,
minutes
more golf. Oh, good. Second screen.
That's right. Walks into the, what are you watching?
Yeah.
I'm like watching.
Same thing.
Yeah. And sort of, and I do get into it. But I think almost like the aura of that, for me, it brought back that of the majors that I've watched over ever since I've been a kid. That brought back almost like a nostalgia of
these iconic old golf.
That's right.
courses,
That's right. And saying, you know what?
Yeah, Gary Player won here.
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
You
that's a thing.
That's right. You don't need a shit ton of trees. You just need a layout that and the greens and I'm not and by no means was the rough punishing, but it was enough to have, like, because there were so many times.
Yeah,
I think it was Nick Taylor, like he was in there.
He was,
and then
till 10.
Yeah, and then he
was hanging in there a little bit, but 10 he made a bad swing.
Yeah, and
Rom hit a bomb.
Yeah.
And Nicky didn't.
Yeah. And then you get into the rough, and you got a bunker in front of you, and then you hit a shit shot. And there was a number of instances, and it just wasn't Nick Taylor. There was a number of other golfers that would hit a shit shot, and then
immediate payoff.
That's right. Comes back. It comes back
to, yeah.
And you're going, oh.
Yeah.
Jesus.
The strokes gain meter immediately goes, that's +1 right there. That's one more shot you have to hit now because of where you just put it, for sure.
And watching that, and the most painful thing is hitting a shitty shot like that, and then just watching it trickle back down, and going, oh, shit, and you go, okay, that was maybe a foot and a half to being a really good shot, and. I also, the other thing that I realized watching it was that, like a lot of shots, usually you say, well, a lot of good shots are, I'm going to say 4 to 6 to 7 feet from the pin.
Sure.
I mean that.
Yeah.
But there was shots that were 12 to 15 feet from the pin, which
Yeah.
were like celebratory.
Oh yeah,
Going
knowing the slope.
exactly, knowing that I actually have a legitimate chance.
Yeah,
because that could have very easily been 28 feet.
yeah,
If I
yeah. Players were really critical on the I think on the Friday in particular of some pin locations. And it's really difficult as a greenskeeper, knowing that the rounds, which I didn't know this until after, knowing that the rounds were 6.5 hour rounds on Friday. You are now having to set up an entire day's worth of activity for those pin locations, and the wind changed, and it got the temperature changed, and I think those pin locations got even tougher than they probably would have been without the weather addition. But it was like once they had kind of figured that out, then all the pins on the weekend, no more of those stories. There's no more like, oh, this pin is a disaster, everyone's making a mess here. It was a little bit more of a shootout if you were in the fairway and if you had taken advantage of the holes out there.
What was a little hullabaloo, and I missed this, and I didn't rewind it, with Rory with a fan? What happened there? Because I missed that.
So he was at 6 under, I believe, and Rai had just got to 9. And Rory had a couple holes left, and he'd hit it up by one of the greens and then was trying to flip it on with a wedge and then kind of chunked it into the bunker. And I think someone told him exactly how good the shot was for back in the crowd. From his,
I missed it.
From his opinion, as probably a 15 handicapper, telling Rory, you suck at this or whatever. And Rory has had enough of that, and literally he must have said something offensive enough. The cameras didn't pick it up, so I tried to listen to see if it was, but he just pointed back at a guy, and then that guy doesn't get to come to a PGA Championship again. So good for you. Yeah,
you're done.
Good for you. Enjoy your day.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's. I mean, we're all rooting hard for these guys, and you want them to hit great shots, but it's a very, very tough game. And if you think that you should be yelling out stuff, you probably aren't as good at this game as you think you are.
A 245-yard par 3.
Yeah. I mean, every major, especially the U.S. Opens now, seem to sort of feature one with these old style golf courses. I think of a really good like long par 3 that we have here in BC, Capilano's 16th hole. It's like 235. Green's massive. There's lots of room to sort of miss it short. You could play it coming down the stretch. You could almost play it like a soft par 4, like play it to the front, chip it on or putt it up, and then get out of there with a 3, or you could be aggressive in those moments. So they almost play like risk-reward holes, those long holes. When you hit the surface, it's such a big advantage. The scoring average on that hole was way higher than most of the other holes out there. There's only 2 par 5s on the golf course, so you're going to have to play the par 3 as well. You know, Aaron Rai for the week was 6 under on the par 5s. 4 under on the par 4s, and whatever else, 1 over something like that on the par 3s, including the one that he made on 17. Whereas like Rory was even on the par 5s the week. He just couldn't take advantage of those. So the strategy was, like a lot of really tough old golf courses, you got to kind of be around level on the par 3s. You got to make up your strokes somewhere else. And if they don't give you a lot of par 5s, you're going to have to play the par 4 strong, which means you have to have a lot of chances at birdie, which means you probably should hit the greens, which means you probably hit the fairways.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like, oh, light bulb. Yeah. It's not a bomb / I'll hit it on this green. I'm going to make 4 eagles or in the week or something like that. That was not this golf course. It was definitely going to be a strategic player or someone who played really, really well or had control of the game.
Question with the length of par 3s now, because I know, hitting a 3 or a 4 iron into a 245-yard par 3.
Yeah.
Extremely difficult to hold.
Sure.
So are we looking at, and this is, I guess, a personal opinion, because the advent of 9 woods, 7 woods, and those kinds of clubs, which Tommy Fleetwood has embraced, are we going to see a, more tour pros look at those high lofted, 7, 9 woods, hell, even 11 woods that are high trajectory and land softly? Because that's almost that is what in order to hold it, like you hit a 4 iron 250 yards, it's going to roll.
Yeah. So the money stat on the PGA Tour from like a TrackMan perspective is called land angle. So that's the steepness that your golf ball lands. If you can get that thing up over like 50 degrees, we call it the money step because the players who landed the steepest on tour historically make the most money or have the opportunity to make the most money. These are players that create a lot of club head speed, have the ability to spin the ball and be able to get some really high apexes. So if you can get the ball up in the air really high and spin it, you can land it really steep. And if that happens, then you can't really hide pin locations from these players and they can get the ball to stop quickly. So they don't have to shape it nearly as much to come into these greens. They just have to hit it high. So these guys end up kind of reverse engineering to get the number that they want for these land angles. And if they have a week where it's 240-yard par fours or second shots coming into par fives or long approaches, then they will stick a 7-wood or, Cam Young won this year, and Cam has some monster apexes, like 140 feet in the air when he hits a driver or a fairway wood. And Cam's got, from a Titleist standpoint, like GT1s or GTS1, GTS1 fairway wood, which is really like a game improvement high launch club, but he puts them in there so that he can hit them so high in the air and land them so softly that he doesn't have to try to create that shot. It's just an automatic. And for most of the players at the highest level, it's easy for them to bring the golf ball down, to bring the trajectory down, but it's hard to elevate it without opening the face and giving away stuff.
Yeah.
So if you can get a weapon in your hand that gives you the distance and the land angle that you want, it's a no-brainer for these players. They'll leave the driving irons out and then they'll use this thing off of a tee, 7-wood. So you do see a lot of it for these very difficult, firm golf courses that they're playing on a regular basis.
Explanation for dum-dums like me.
Yeah.
I think I know what apex means.
The height.
The height.
The max height of your flight. So, and most players in their game, their max heights, the apex that it reaches, that highest point, is the same for all their full shots. So their sand wedge will go to 100. The PGA Tour average is just around 100 feet apex, so a little bit lower. But these players will then kind of like top end their apexes so that a sand wedge goes that height, their 7-iron goes that height, and if they need to hoist it, they can go up a little bit higher, but they try to get that to be roughly the same.
Okay.
And then when they go to these major venues, they're either adjusting, maybe playing a different ball that has little higher launch windows, or they're adjusting their lofts, or they're adjusting their equipment to reach those peaks for the longer clubs coming into the green so they can get that ball to stop quickly. They don't want to have to curve it nearly as much because the ball doesn't really curve comfortably as much anymore. It really likes to go high. It really likes to kind of stay stable and straight. And you see that from the tracer on TV. There's not a lot of big shapes into greens. They're just moon balls. They just send them up into the air.
And that brings to Cameron Young, his swing.
It's kind of cool, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's like this.
Yeah.
Pause hinge.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, that did you learn that, or was that just something like? And I know his dad was a golf pro.
Yeah, that's a drill that his dad and him were working on. So Cam, like a lot of players, when you get fast in your transition, you lose where maybe your arms or your hands or the club is, and then you start to spray it all over the place. So as a drill, and I'll do this a lot with a player, like a static hold, you go to the top of a backswing, figure out where you want to deliver from, and then let it fall into the golf ball. And inevitably with that sort of pause and then release, by the time you hit the golf ball solid, you're not hitting it that much shorter. In fact, for a lot of players, they're hitting it almost the same distance or further with that little bit of hesitation or pause. And I'll relate it to like athletic motion, like say a quarterback throwing a football or a baseball player kind of throwing a baseball. There's a difference between speed and power. So if I was a shortstop and I had to get rid of it quickly over to first, grab a ball, flick my arm over there and it's gone because I want to get rid of it quickly. If I'm a outfielder throwing all the way to home, I'm going to take like a crow hop, I'm going to take like a step, I'm going to load, and I'm going to throw this ball as hard as I can. That ball has a lot more power, velocity, launch behind it. The first one is fast. So a lot of players equate hand speed to speed. But when we watch Cam do it, he's loading power, almost like a bow and arrow. Like he's just storing everything, and then it's like one big delivery. It's a very, very cool sequence.
It is, because...
And it was really cool to see on 17 at Sawgrass, just melt one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And because I look at that, and I'll be honest, I've tried that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't just go in and start adding pauses to your backswing.
Exactly.
It has to be for a purpose. Now, he's also doing this with the right kinematic sequence. He's loading his weight correctly. So he's not just hanging on his back foot and then spinning off of it. This is all a pattern that is not, he didn't show up to the players and go like, I'm going to pause a little bit more.
He's always had that.
This
He's
is
always had that.
From a very young age, not dissimilar from what we were talking about with Aaron Rai. You go and watch Camp Young, a young player, and you look at him and you go, well, that's the same guy. He's just filled in a little bit. It's the same golf swing. And I've worked with enough young players that are now not as young as they used to be. They're in their 20s or 30s or whatever. And I watch their swings develop when they were 10 or 12 years old. And then I look at them now, and if I saw them on the golf course and I didn't know who they were and I saw them lift that club in the backswing and swing it through, I'd recognize them from a mile away. Your swing has an imprint for sure.
Is that a teachable thing?
What, that pause?
That pause.
For sure it is, yeah. You can teach that. Now, you also want to be careful that you're not creating too much of a hesitation or a pause. It is nice to have a little bit of fluidity to the change of direction, so you don't see it a lot at the highest game. You think of like a Hideki that kind of has that sort of delayed pause.
That's right. Yeah.
I think Im's got a bit of a pause too. Sanjay has a bit of a pause. So it's very rare. You see most guys that have the timing, the cadence that's kind of a little closer to kind of a 1-2 motion versus that long delay into it. But when you see something like that, it stands out. And I'm sure everybody on our driving range is
they're probably
pausing like crazy after that, trying to hit up on the golf ball and
with no understanding.
Zero understanding.
Zero understanding.
I'm going to add a delay here.
The talking like once again back to that golf course, narrow margins, like the rough was punishing, but not so much punishing that you had to go lateral. Like you could still advance the ball, but it all and I didn't see and I didn't watch everything.
Yeah.
But what I did watch, I didn't see anybody bump out onto the fairway. They were all trying to advance the ball.
I think it was. It's listed as long, but I think it was short enough that if you hit it down there in the rough somewhere and the rough wasn't so thick, these players are pretty well equipped to get it out. Now, once you lose the contact to the back of the ball and you've got rough behind it, now you're losing spin and you're also losing height. So spin and height are side by side. You lose spin, you lose your distance, you lose your height. Now the ball's coming in lower. We lose that land angle. You don't have the ability to stop it anymore.
It's just going to go.
And now it's unpredictable how this releases. And then when you have the angles that you've created for yourself and coming into these surfaces, the run out is just not there. So now you're left to sort of create something that you really didn't need to if you had positioned this ball, easier said than done, but position it in the fairway where you have a place to attack from. Would it be interesting for a guy like, say, Bryson to show up, the scientist that he is, and just totally show up with a different game? Like play short off of the tees, hit fit. He's got so much length that if he just dialed it back, he could play a totally different game and strategically kind of work a golf course, knowing that golf course might play better that way than just bombing and slashing it. But I think they had a different idea coming into the beginning of the week, and you don't really want to change your game plan.
Was it my imagination, or did I see a few players hitting wedge on the putting service? There was some, because there's some. Yeah, I saw a couple. There'd
be a few instances on big slopey greens like that where, because of your angle, putting up it would almost be impossible to get the ball to stop putting. But if you can get a little bit of spin on it, you could probably get it to sort of check and stop in those places. Every once in a while you're going to see that. Take some balls for sure to pull out a wedge, and
that's a thin
these guys are pretty good
line.
Yeah, and their fairways are firm enough that they're going to be okay. And this is not their home club, so they don't have to go back tomorrow and
worry about that
in the front
chunk out of the green.
Yeah.
The other question I had was sprinkler heads.
Yeah.
If and this is a question, because I don't know the answer to this, and I suppose if I looked it up, I could. But when you're like, say, 5 or 6 yards off the apron, and there's sprinkler heads sitting there, and you're looking at playing like a bump and run, or as opposed to a wet, like lobbing it.
Yeah.
What's the ruling on that? What because I know there was some discernation, some discussion.
Yeah.
Like there, and what's the ruling on that?
So first, I find this happens more at some of these older clubs where the greens have the green complexes have expanded a little bit. Usually the sprinkler heads are located off of the surface far enough that they can cover the green with water, but they're not going to be influential in your play around the greens. So at some of these clubs where maybe the green complexes have kind of gotten a little bit bigger, and now the sprinkler heads have moved into those plays a little bit more. At a club level, there'd be a club rule that if you were within, say, 2 club lengths or a club length of the sprinkler heads, or at some places, even if the line is in your way, then you'd get relief and you can kind of take a drop and no penalty. But most of the time, it would have to be interfering with either swing or stance. You'd have to either be standing on it or almost hitting the corner of it for you to take relief. If it's in your way, too bad. You're going to have to figure out a way to kind of go over it if you're far enough back.
Okay, because I that was the first time so in my talking points here, and I'll ask this: was this a fair test, or did it cross into like survival mode?
I think early on, the first couple of rounds. So one, I don't like hearing. I know it's a huge field that they put out there, but one, I don't like hearing anyone being on a golf course for 6.5 hours is nuts. Especially at that level, it must be just an exhausting experience. On the Canadian tour, multiple times being on the other side of the draw, playing out there in 5.5 hours, and just feeling like it just took the whole day. Like, it's nuts. So 6.5 hours out there on a very difficult golf course would be an exhausting experience. And then they kind of changed it because they can change the narrative a little bit. I thought the test was really, really fair. I think there's not much more that you could do to that golf course. You've got 2 par 5s. It's a ton of par 4s. You could maybe move the tees around a little bit, but I think you got kind of what you would hope for in a championship is someone's kind of close to double digits, but not quite. The rest of the field shows some talent, but you're not beating them up too much. You know, you think of some of the majors back in the day when Tiger would win by 15 or whatever, and no one else was under par, like at like Pebble, right?
Kind of ridiculous.
And you're like, okay, this one guy's going to win this tournament, and that's it, and everyone else is laughing at this thing. This, I don't know that we're going to be able to. We won't see that maybe separation in majors as much anymore. The guys are just really well prepared. They really are, and it's cool to see. Not the top 5 players in the world win everything. You have a chance if you're an Aaron Rai and you get into the field.
And I think it makes for good viewership of golf, because it makes, and I've used this ad nauseum myself as a hack, saying, well, you know what, it wasn't 22 under.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, meaning that,
yeah,
like I'm like, no matter how, like if I went out and played that golf course, you're shooting 150.
Yeah.
But regardless, it makes it kind of humanizes the game.
For sure it does.
That
yeah, we're all grinding for pars.
That's right. We're grinding. We're just grinding.
We're all grinding. We hit a great drive, and then now I got to deal with the next one, and now I got to deal with it's all this. It's the same thing. So you can see it. You can see that grind.
And one of the other things that I took away from it, and it wasn't just on it. It sort of started on Friday, but it was Saturday, Sunday. I found the commentators talking in a condescending way with regards to certain players.
Yeah.
And that aggravated me.
Yeah.
It did. And I wasn't making notes, but I was just
expectation of performance.
It's so easy. Like he just, I can't believe he just made that. Yeah. He's an idiot because and I just don't think that's becoming of a and I honestly, I didn't look at who was commentating. And I'll be honest here. I'm not a big fan of Jim Nantz. But he has put his foot in his mouth on a number of occasions. But there just wasn't. And I'm not talking about empathy. I'm talking about an appreciation for Okay, well,
Yeah, maybe it's a tough golf course.
maybe it's a tough golf
Maybe they're
course.
not playing well.
Exactly.
Maybe they're injured.
Exactly. There's a number of things.
Maybe they're human. Maybe they
That's
have other
right.
things
That's
going
right.
on.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of, they put all that behind.
Yeah.
And when you look at, we take Rory, for example, they take every soundbite that he has and they're using it throughout the week. If he plays well, they'll use it as fodder. But if he doesn't, then they'll use it as fuel for something else, and they'll come after him.
And you don't have, like, there was one instance, I believe it was yesterday, where I was like, well, why don't you take the camera and look right down on his lie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And see, what would you do?
Yeah.
Okay. He can't move the ball. He can't improve his lie.
Yeah.
He's got it's wedged in between. He's got grass here.
Yeah.
He's going to hack at it. And if he catches it clean, he might hit a flyer.
Right.
And then he has no clue where the hell that's going.
Right.
Okay. Or he might just chunk it.
Yeah.
So, like, I just felt that there was.
But I think from a telecast standpoint, because you're competing against so many other things, you're trying your hardest to just get something that draws interest in. So whether you create an antagonist, a protagonist, whether you create whatever, if you're trying to create some action or some conversation, these guys are free to kind of say what they want about these players, and these players are making themselves vulnerable to that. If they have a soundbite like Rory at the beginning of the week going, I'm just going to like bomb it, and I'm going to torch this thing.
There's no.
And they go, well, hey, Rory, that's not how that worked out for you. But he's still, what did he finish, top 5?
Yeah.
Right. Like, we're talking about, like, as much as you beat on these guys, they're going to be there every big event for sure.
And we had our, everyone has their pre-tournament favorites. Scheffler, McIlroy, DeChambeau, Ram.
Yeah.
Going, okay.
I had Goddard up pretty high on my list.
But he'd been playing well too.
He'd been playing well. I had Goddard up high, and I thought Ludwig, might come over a little bit different than he did at the final round of the Players. I thought maybe he could kind of get it done, but there's always the big names in the hunt. Yeah,
and we discussed this. We talked about this a little bit before.
Yeah.
But does this major really have the strongest field, or is it just branding?
Yeah, well, of all the majors, I think it does.
Okay.
If you remove those 30 club pros, and again, I'm not taking anything away from those guys. If you remove that, then it doesn't stack up. The Masters has a lot of guys that get in different ways. All the other tournaments have different ways. This is the best major field in golf by ranking. Yeah.
And I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
You like being put on the
spot. Let's go.
From a coach's eye, what wins that tournament?
At Aronimink? Well, I mean, it's easy to say after the fact now when you watch a guy like Aaron Rai do it, you go, oh, wait a minute, it was a tactician that was always going to win this thing. I still thought that distance was going to carry an advantage, but someone who was accurate off the tee. So I thought that a guy like someone who had a fade pattern, like Rahm, Scheffler, guys who hit it far and can kind of move it with some fade to kind of control their ball off of the tee, I thought those guys were going to have a really good week. Knowing that the golf course was going to play really long, I was leaning on length as an advantage, but I didn't see it on the back end of, okay, if someone plays really disciplined here, they're going to win this thing. What I did know at the beginning, and what it did show as true, is if you had a very good putting week on giant old school greens, you had a chance of winning this tournament. So, and that is the defining thing. It's, you had to putt this week. There's no way around it.
Yeah. And what was noticeably absent was bombs, like putting bombs.
Yeah.
Like there's
not much going in.
There wasn't
if you
much
were on the
going
wrong level, they were wild rides.
Yeah.
If you were in the right level, especially on Sunday, it looks like they had kind of found some bowls, some gatherings, but then you'd get into these like maybe inside around 20 feet that are not guaranteed. And if they're going in, it's not super exciting. A lot of guys kind of making birdies by hitting it close versus putting their ball like crazy. Aaron may be the exception to that.
Even Aaron's putt, like he had the pin in.
Yeah. Yeah,
where would that have ended up?
Well, with it, his
it
speed
wasn't
was
like
really good.
It was good, but
yeah,
that the pin stopped it
Yeah.
Like he, you know,
there was it looked like an infinity pool going into the water there, that it was a consideration. I always like when Johnson Wagner goes back out and does the thing. He did it at the US Open and hit the shot out of where Bryson got up and down. And so Johnson went out there and rolled 2 putts after the telecast. And the first one he hit it to like 3 feet above the hole, and the next one he hit a little bit past. And he said, but like looking at it, you look at the water in the background, you're a little bit concerned. The break was obvious, but making that putt was quite tricky. And Aaron, when he was over that putt, the way that the flag shadow was laying was almost the perfect line for him. So he had a really like defined line in his mind of where it was going to go, and he just had to worry about speed. And I think it looked like about 10 or 15 feet away from the hole, he kind of like stood up and he was like,
yeah, I could see, yeah.
And then when it went in, it was one of those moments where it's like, well, that's what I wanted to happen, but also, holy crap, I just won. I think I just won the PGA Championship with this thing. Yeah, it was very, very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
And you know, and in a broader conversation, like my, and once again, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. But does his game translate to multiple majors? That's the $64,000 question. But at the same time, I believe coming up to the U.S. Open, if that demeanor that he carries through it, because that's a tactician playing that golf course, because it is so punishing.
Yeah.
Well,
this is like when you get a player like that who always has this stigma of like the distance is missing, so they're missing the firepower of the game. When they get a victory like this, then it really can open the door for like multiples. You think of like Zach Johnson, right? Like tactically chipping away around Augusta, never going for par fives in 2, and then being able to win, multiple majors. So you think of guys like that can kind of like break through. He obviously has enough game. He's won multiple times around the world, and he's won on big golf courses. I don't know that this opens the door for him to win more majors this year. A place like Shinnecock is going to, I'm going to say this now, a big hitter is going to win at Shinnecock. It just is, it's a big golf course. There's more than 2 par 5s. I think there might only be 3. I'm going to have to do research on Shinnecock, but it's going to be a big hitter.
Oh, we'll bring you in again.
Right.
Talking about.
Brooks was the last one to win on that golf course. So I think it'll be interesting to see if a guy like Aaron Rai, I mean, we had a fader tactician win the US Open last year, JJ Spawn, not a long hitter. Yeah. Cuts the ball hard, putted great. You can win. Yeah. Right. If it all goes your way, for sure. If you hang around and get a chance.
Now, the game brings out the best and the absolute worst.
Yeah, it does.
In that major championship in the PGA, obviously it brought out the best in Aaron Rai. Is there a player that comes to mind that it brought the worst?
I mean, we talked about Bryson. I think that really exposed a lot of his weaknesses. His technique, the way that he has his clubs kind of set up, the style that he plays, his short game, because of the rigidity of the way that he kind of gets over the ball, it did not lend itself very well to how soft and slow you have to get the ball moving around a golf course like that, around the greens. So I think for him, it really exposed his weakness. We all know that he can hit it as far as anyone. But to watch him kind of make all his mistakes around the greens, kind of go, okay, well, that he's not going to leave the week going, well, I have a lot of good things to draw from this. He's going to be like, please let me forget this week quickly.
And one thing that amateurs can learn from this week, like, and you being a coach, and a premier coach, when people watch golf, they watch it obviously for the entertainment value. They also, there's a certain segment that watch it like going to a NASCAR, a series event, watching for a train wreck. There really wasn't any train wrecks aside from some muffs, like
That's what I was saying, is that the setup of that golf course, there wasn't carnage around every corner. There was like a bogey around every corner. If you hit it in the rough, you're going to make a bogey. You'll get it up around the green. You'll chip it on. You'll miss your putt. You make a bogey. And then you make a bunch of soft bogeys and you shoot 74 or 76 and you're out of it. This was, if from a viewer standpoint, if you want to take this and apply it to your own game, if you had a lot of chances for birdies in a round of golf, meaning if you hit a lot of greens in regulation, if you can just run up your total of just being on the surface, some days those are going to go in. And most of the days you're not going to 3-putt very often. So if you could play a round of golf where you have 15 greens in regulation, you have 15 birdie putts. Of those 15, if you only make 2 of them, you probably make 2 more birdies than you make on a regular basis. But you have chances then, and the game is a lot less stressful. So if you work backwards from the opportunity, if I want chances to make putts, I got to be on the surface to have that chance. If I want to be on the surface, I got to be in a position where it makes sense to get to that place easier. That seems like I should be in the fairway. So a golf course like this, and if you're going out to play on the weekend, try to think backwards. I want opportunities. I got to hit greens in regulation. If I want to hit greens, maybe it's not bombing a driver into the trees. Maybe it's, if I put this in play, I can get to the surface, even in front. I'm going to try to make as many pars as I can throughout the day, let the birdies come to me, not force it at every pin location, and play a little less stress-free. And then you can probably start to figure out the things in your game that you actually need to work on, rather than just like, I made a birdie, but I made 6 doubles today, or a triple or whatever.
We touched on these, and there was the PGA actually representing the strongest field in golf. We agree on that.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Not in golf, like I think the players, right?
Yeah.
But of the majors, yes.
Yes.
So on the qualification of how you get there, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we did break down why Aronimink was so hard, because of the course setup, and that's something that's, I don't think, well, not that a lot of golf courses are being built now, but that one is, I can't remember the name. Who designed that golf course? Shit, I can't remember. But anyway,
Alistair McKenzie? No. Wait, it's an ancient old of all in the same area there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's not Donald Ross, is it?
It might be Donald Ross.
I think it is Donald Ross.
Donald Ross.
I think they look like Donald Ross greens. They look nuts. I think for sure it's Donald.
Okay,
we can look that up.
The 2-glove discussion.
So
are we going to see? Are we going to see a rush on I think it's the golf emulators going, you know what?
2 gloves.
I
think this was a thing at a very, very young age that he just started to like the feel of, and he's just carried it through. I don't think that you're going to see a mad rush on 2 gloves.
You know what? I'm going to make a call.
Oh yeah, you think so?
I think so. I mean,
if they're in a place to strike while the iron is hot, then they should have Aaron Rai rain gloves, because he's wearing a different brand.
Were they rain gloves or
were
they were rain gloves?
Actual rain gloves?
Really?
Yeah, they're actual rain gloves. That material that works better when they get wet. It might just be a kid. I know that there was another guy on tour eons ago, Tommy 2-glove Gainey, Tommy 2-glove Gainey, who played on pretty much all the tours.
Like, how long was that?
He's on the Champions Tour now, so he's just in his 50s now. But
does he still wear 2 gloves?
Still wears 2 gloves.
Tommy 2 gloves.
And what he described was that his hands were so sweaty that they almost worked kind of opposite for him, where they would absorb the moisture of his hands, whereas a normal glove, he'd go through like 7 gloves on the front nine trying to wear it. So I don't know. Aaron's got his own thing, head covers on his irons, and 2 gloves. You're just like, okay.
That's cool. That's cool.
It's cool now.
Okay. What wins majors? Power or control?
Well, obviously this one looks like it's a control major. And I think that's kind of the cool thing about some of these venues, is they can really define how this tournament is going to be, how it's all going to fold out. When you look at some of the events in the past, you look at like Augusta, it's a power game. It's bomb it as far as you can. U.S. Opens and what now looks like the PGA are a little bit more tactical. Like, you're going to have a whole game that kind of shows up. And the British Open has always been the one that you're just at the mercy of the elements. If you have a nice week, guys are going to play great. If you have a horrible week of weather, it's just a hang on for dear life. So I think they all offer a little bit different throughout the season. You get a different show at each one of the majors. They shouldn't all be just the same plan, same guy winning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is winning one major enough for a legacy in today's world?
I mean,
That's an opinion.
As a legacy piece, if you want to go down in history, multiple majors are definitely a thing. We've had call it like one-hit wonders in music, where there's a great song, but it's just one song. And I can think of a PGA champion back in the day, like a Rich Beam or a Sean McKeel, that that's their major. They're gonna hang on it. We won't forget them ever.
Sandy Lyle,
sure, right? But you got one big major on your resume. You have two, and then the conversation is, especially if they're different majors, right? Or like a guy like Koepka, 5 in a short time period. We're like, woo. That guy's a contender.
Yeah. First major win for Aaron Rai, representing England. First English winner of the PGA Championship since Jim Barnes in 1919. We're talking over a century. That's just not a win. That's history.
Yeah.
How much pressure do you think is on this guy for the Open now? They're going to be that's their own.
They're going to latch onto him for sure.
Yeah.
Anytime you have someone who's had a nice season, and comes over and has a chance of winning the Open, I think that, obviously he's made himself known to the public and the people. I think it bodes well for Ryder Cup and all that for Aaron as well, which is kind of cool. As that's coming down. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how a player like that does at just the rest of the majors. He's on the radar now, right? He's going to be in the conversation. They're going to talk to him pre-round. They want to know what he thinks about the venue. Yeah. It's a life-changing experience for this guy, for sure.
And what does this say about the global game? Is it back now?
Yeah, it's cool to see all of the different play. I mean, we're patriotic about our Canadians. It was great to see Nick up on the leaderboard.
For sure.
And it's too bad he couldn't hang on to have a stronger finish, but it's always great to see these players from all over the world make it really well aware that it's not just a game that you have to grow up in Jupiter, Florida to play. This is from all walks of life.
It's in England, man.
From England, from where it's not, it's like BC, and it's wet and cold, and this is not where you should find the best summer golfers in the world, but you're finding them all over the place.
I did just in closing, I did a little bit of a crib sheet here and the money. Aaron Rai, 3.7 million, Ram 1.8, Smalley 1.8. Looking down, the Christ, Patrick Harrington won $230,000.
Yeah, had a nice tournament.
Yeah,
a really nice tournament. It's good. It's great to see the. I mean, we say old guys. I'm almost 50, and that's the Champions Tour.
Yeah.
These guys are not old. Patrick is not old.
Yeah,
he's killing it.
To still, and he was there.
Yeah,
he was there.
Yeah,
and Cameron Smith. I would personally, Cameron Smith, I would like to see back on the PGA Tour. I think he's that good of a player.
Yeah, me too. But it's hard to, at the time. I mean, he had just won the British, and they threw just a ton of money at him to just go and hang out, and that was a cool thing.
Yeah, and I think overall it was a fun week of golf. And we should wrap it up because we could keep on talking here about the PGA, the championship. We're going to have you on after the U.S. Open too, and talk about that because I like dissecting it because I watch it. It's nuanced. There's a lot of things going on, and I do think that not that our opinions are golden or whatever it is. But it's just understanding what's going on in the game. We haven't even, and I don't want to go down the live road either, because there's a lot of shit to talk about. There's a ton of stuff to talk about that.
But to your point earlier, it's like that we all watch the game kind of differently through a different set of lens. So it's nice to get some perspective. I'm always a big fan of, after any of these majors, watching the podcasts and the breakdowns and because rather than just that tournament disappearing so quickly, let's figure out why someone like an Aaron Rai did so well, what we can really take from it. From a coach, I'm always looking for, advantages and ways to sort of relate it to the players as well. I have a ton of players that don't have massive distance off of the tee. Well, hey, Aaron's your guy. Like this, play like that.
Have a look.
Play like that. Stop trying to swing as hard as you can on a driver and connect with it. Let's drive people nuts by just hitting it in play a lot and having a lot of chances for birdie, and then going, sorry, what did you shoot? Oh, wow, that looked really boring. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would love that on a regular basis. Yeah. That was the most exciting 87 I've ever seen.
So in wrapping things up, please give your social handles and out again to our
I'm Golf Coach Tim everywhere.
Golf Coach Tim everywhere, Instagram, and shout out to you're at Point Grey, Shaughnessy. Shit,
and that's okay. Point Grey's our neighbor. We have a close connection with the Marine Drive trio.
You guys are all in the I call that the Richie Rich section. It all blends into one. Yeah, but I mean that, like, Shaughnessy is fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah. And I thank you for coming. Yeah. I would be remiss if I didn't mention riversidegolf.ca, Ken Poirier, for sponsoring this podcast, making it allowing us the opportunity to talk golf. I enjoy it. And once again, I'll say this, it's a real pleasure talking to someone such as yourself.
Yeah, thanks. That was fun.
That loves you. Golf is what you do for a living, but you also love the game, and it comes through in the discussion that we have. So, Tim, thank you so much.
Yeah, anytime. I mean, I guess I'll see you after the next one.
You betcha, my friend.
Okay.
All the best, man. Thank you. Yeah.